Hello everyone, Vanguard of Valor here, and welcome back to Sunless Sea. Now we've arrived at a new port. Dwindling resources have led us here, but we've found the island of Visage. Hide your face. Hide all your faces. Well, let us see what happens here. This is the port of Visage, where faces may not be naked, except one. A stone monument the size of a village church, serenely gazing upwards, flourishing of years. Well then, let us investigate this port report first. A departing merchant gives us a confused account of crocodiles and honey cakes, and something about ear blockage. To this we add our own impressions about the street layout close to port and the types of commerce here. When the lights are especially bright, it is possible to make out details of the profile of that great stone face. But we'll investigate more closely ourselves. Once we set foot on Visage, we may be here for a little while. That's fine with me. Let's go. All those who enter must play their parts. The sign is visible only after we've crossed the threshold. On the lower slopes, stone buildings, flat roofs, archways. In the architecture there lingers a memory of lotus and palm frond. The hill above is a face, forever looking up at the ceiling of the Untersee. No one inhabits its cheeks or the hollows of its eyes. First you must check in at the customs house, as one may not wander Visage at will. All visitors must pass, one by one, through a room guarded by a person in the mask of a moon moth. Well, masks in assortment of shapes and colors await. There's a frog mask, a locust mask, and a bat mask. Let's investigate these. Maybe there's more of it than a question of aesthetic taste. Assorted pestilences. Moonmoth explains, each mask declares a different intention towards the denizens of Visage, and must be accompanied by suitable behavior. The frog is for visitors who, though perhaps clumsy and unfamiliar with local etiquette, have come in order to observe local ways and make uncouth comments about them. The locust is for those who seek profit in Visage, and would carry away as many goods as possible. We prompt about the bat. Moonmoth hesitates. Bat is an ill-omened visitor, sent as a messenger or a spy. Bat always dies. Well then, I think we will choose to be a locust. Stealing whatever we can, taking as much profit as possible. It looks voracious. Moonmoth settles the locust mask over our head. The eye holes are covered with a thin gold film through which valuable objects gleam more brightly. May you find a happy harvest, says Moonmoth. Then, when we have partly turned away, it double knots the ties on its purse, as though we're likely to pick its pockets. Doesn't it know we can see it? Well, we have chosen the locust, so it's only to be expected now. On the lower slopes, stone buildings yet again. We can visit the Library of Parts. We can visit the Flood Court, or we can leave the island. First, let's investigate the Library of Parts, so called because all the books are fragmentary, perhaps. A room of heavy stone, guarded by a golden statuette of a woman with outstretched arms. The scroll niches sorted to correspond to a variety of masks. The jackal and the lioness, the crocodile and dung beetle. The woman in the mask of a lotus blossom is standing at a lectern, reading in silence. So, we have the option to ask about the purpose of this room. We have the option to try and steal the most valuable-looking scroll for later sale. We can try to read over Lotus Blossom's shoulder, or we can pick the pockets of the readers, which we can do with no challenge at all. Let us begin by asking about the purpose of the room, perhaps, although that might be a more frog thing to do. I have a feeling looking over the shoulder is much more frog. Let us pick the pockets of the readers first. It seems like an appropriately locusty thing to do. Successful, if not wealthy. We dip our fingers into a crocodile's purse and acquire a few coppers from a heron. The coins here are no more than tiny copper chips, each stamped with an eye sigil. The exchange rate must be thousands of these to the Echo, hardly worth taking home. But we have acted as a locust is meant to act anyhow. There are no scrolls for locusts in the Library of Parts. We've gained 10 fragments, and 1 expertise in parts. Perhaps we can return there and attempt to steal a scroll, too. That sounds as though it should be interesting. Same introduction as last time. Well, we could try and pick the pockets of the readers again, but I feel it would be more appropriate to us if we attempt to steal the most valuable-looking scroll for later sale. Who knows? Maybe we'll get away with it. Aha! Gilt-edged scrolls, papyrus bound with emerald green silk bands, poems of the traversal to the realm of the dead. Into our sack they go, leaving the scroll niches bare. Moonmoth does not see what we do. The carapace of our costume hides everything. We've gained 10 fragments and more expertise in parts, and we've succeeded in our Veil's challenge. Lucky us. Let us visit the Flood Court, then. The Moonmoth speaks as though we should already know what that is. The Flood Court is a long stone room with 2 ranks of columns on each side. Currently the court is ankle-deep in water, though water stains on the stone show that the flood has often reached higher, sometimes up to the height of our waist. In a raised niche at the far end of the room sits a statue of a man with the head of a ram. He holds a jar from which water flows out onto the floor. We could say how much we like the pool, but evidently that does not match our role. We can attempt to gather coin from the floor, which is a very difficult challenge. That would be very locusty. We can attempt to study the calendars drawn on the walls. We could do that, although that doesn't seem very locusty either. Let's ask about the purpose of this room. Perhaps we'll get away with it. From a corner, Moonmoth picks up a graduated stick. He shows us how a person standing at the end of the room may dip the stick into the water and use it to measure the water level at a pre-selected point, and other measurements are compared with measurements written on a calendar. If the water level does not match the calendrical position, an assembly of pipes and drains is used to adjust it.
"It used to be," says the moth, "that the water rose and fell of its own accord, and the people before wrote down what height it reached. Now the water is still, but thanks to their actions we can replicate the rise and falls so as to still be pleasing to the god of flood."
It completes this explanation with a half-body bow towards the statue of the ram deity. Well then, I think we will attempt this, even though the odds are not good. See if we can, perhaps, steal coin from the flood court floor. Ah, lucky us. We wade into the water and begin gathering coins. People watch us from behind their masks, but no one tries to stop us. After a moment, the other lotus masks in the room swarm with us, 4 and 5 and 6 of us together, scraping up the coins from the bottom of the pool, working our way along until everything is gone. It is just how a locust ought to behave. We've gained 10 fragments, we are more aware of visitor rolls, and we've succeeded in our iron challenge. Well, lucky us. Trade masks with Moonmoth. It has been making subtle overtures for some time. We only now understand them. Maybe we shall. All the other options here are locked, and we don't want to leave just yet. Let's trade masks. It draws us aside into a closet of the customs house.
"Had enough of visage," it tells us frankly. "Here, you take my mask and pretend to be me, and I'll trade in the visitor mask and get on some departing ship. Get my life back."
Its face, no. Now we see her face, is aging but unlined. A lifetime of never needing to use a facial expression. Well, now we are the Moonmoth. Interesting. We can visit the house of the Chief Geometer, which is understood to be an honor. We can visit the Temple of Apis, or we can visit the side of the face. As we are the Moonmoth now, and no longer a locust, we can't be quite so eager to steal, but let's investigate the house of the Chief Geometer. Each morning, the man in the cobra mask draws lines in the mud flat with a pointed steel rod. This apportions to each inhabitant a small trapezoidal area from which to harvest mushrooms and to scrape salt. No plot is ever preserved from one day to the next. This man is the Chief Geometer, the keeper of directions, master of land measures and sea measures. Now we have been invited to his home, at the time customarily appointed for him to receive those who are not his equal in rank, yet not so far beneath him as to deserve to be ignored. What ceremonial gift will we bring? We have many different options here. We have a string of rats that we could bring, a necklet of lapis beads, a poem concerning snakes copied on a new scroll, a comb made of bone. We could bring nothing. We could not go. What do we bring to the geometer's house? What do we bring indeed? As someone who is all about geometry and precision, he could like something such as a comb made of bone. I'm not sure what we should bring here. A necklet of lapis beads doesn't seem like the right option to us in this case. Let's attempt to bring something somber. A comb made of bone. No. Flung away into a corner. Broken. He is disdainful. What use for a comb to a man whose head is covered in bare scales day in and day out? From a joker, for instance, baboon mask, it would have been a very good witticism, but from you, no. Wholly out of place. Well, unfortunately we were wrong there. Perhaps if we return, we'll be able to help them out further, but I wish to explore other locations. We visit the Temple of Apis, the wounded god. In the center of the temple is a black bull with a white diamond on its face. It is tied in place with heavy ropes and is wounded in the thigh. From this wound it bleeds copiously without dying. Well, we know not to ask whether the bull will be all right. We know not to offer to sell them a new undamaged bull. We are the moon moth. I believe the correct action here would be to relieve a respectful token of offering. Bandaging the bull seems like a terrible idea. We leave a respectful token of offering to this wounded god. Or we can observe and make notes. This would make sense as a moon moth, whose task is to interact with visitors. Let us leave a respectful token of offering and see if that is an appropriate option to us. The tokens are small and not very valuable, as suits our lower rank in the community. The priests arrange them on a table with other small items. As we go out, we pass by the more impressive gifts. Drafting tools from the chief geometer, scales from Jackal, a heap of foreign coin brought home by Crocodile. Well then. It could be time to visit the side of the face, attempt again. It seems as though we chose a correct option in the Temple of Apis, even though we misplayed in the house of the chief geometer. Let us visit the stone cheek of Flourishing of Years, as a pilgrimage by the inhabitants of Visage, and if we are in good favor, we too may go. We must, of course, wait until our work with this day's crop of frogs and locusts is complete. It would not be suitable to bring them along. Well, up on the hillside, the buildings become scarcer, and then vanish entirely, leaving us looking at the bottom of a great chin. We could push a bat off the chin, but that would not be appropriate to us. We could silently observe the attitude of the visiting lion, but that again would not be appropriate to us. We could meditate on the meaning of the face, which is a possibility, but we can offer instruction to the frog that found its way up here, as that is the sort of thing our moth would have done for us. And it is a fairly simple success. We could study the ancient marks across the stone, but I feel if we're playing our role, we must offer instruction to the frog. Ah, no, unfortunately we failed, but such it is. We tell the frog of a partially true story about how this face was carved. It replies with questions, detailed, astute, scholarly questions about who the original people were who inhabited the island, and whether the present citizens are their descendants, and if not, where the original inhabitants might have gone. It hasn't learned the role of stupid credulity at all. Caught off guard like this, we have a hard time answering its questions smoothly, and we part with irritation on both sides. But we attempted the best thing we could, I suspect. But now Now it is time for the final stage. We can enter the hollow of the ear, a journey of several steps which may conclude our current visit. It is a festival day. The great stone face has been illuminated from forehead to chin with blazing torches so that the profile is visible from the side more clearly than we have ever seen it.
Flourishing of years is awake,
says the genderless figure in the crocodile mask. Well then indeed. All the denizens of Visage are walking towards the ear together. There is a place in the procession which belongs by right to the wearer of our mask. We could fall in line with the others. We could leave, or we could bring a flare within. We have no flare, and will certainly participate in this mysterious ritual, so let us go. We go as though we were truly one of them, we carrying nothing with us but our mask and our costume.
May your heart be as light as a feather,
says the woman in the lotus blossom mask as we fall into line behind her. The road we follow leads up through switchbacks along the side of the face and finally to the ear of Flourishing of Years, and into the cave that is her ear. The tunnel bends back on itself, and all lights have now been extinguished. There is nothing to guide us but the hand of the person behind us on our back and the movement of the person in front of us. The one who walks beside us wears a bat mask. Fortunately, the floor of the tunnel is very smooth and presents no stumbling blocks. Sound carries strangely in this place, however. Sometimes we cannot hear our own footsteps, and sometimes a breath comes back to us audible from some place ahead in line. Well, we could try to run, or we can continue, and we will continue. In the footsteps of the people are steady and synchronized, and we go together. For how many years has this been done, and for how many years will it be done in the future?
Watch your step here,
says Batmask to us in an undervoice. Its accent is the accent of wolf-stacked dogs.
Floor's about to get squishier.
And sure enough, it does. Well, now we're empty-handed and brave. As the tunnel opens out, we and all the other congregants spread out in the cavernous space. A voice speaks in the darkness, our ritual preparation. Here at the new year we gather under the one mask of Flourishing of Years. Her face is turned to the gods. Protected by her mask we may remove our own. Protected by her script we may speak outside our parts. Here and there is the sound of people fumbling with ties and strings. Our own face feels different with the mask off. We could listen. We could tell our own secrets. We can fight the urge to giggle, or can receive the confidence of a stranger as holy. Interesting. We could tell one of our own secrets with a lamentable relic. I think that might be interesting to attempt. We have one. Why not make use of it? It's an option that would otherwise be locked to us, so perhaps it will be useful. We begin to speak. Certain weights lift away. We have been in the wrong from time to time, but it is forgivable. We've gained 10 fragments and lost 10 terror. Perhaps not worth a lamentable relic, but still interesting nonetheless, and who knows what else may change. The hour of confidence is drawing to its end. If there is anything else we need to do, now is the time. But how? What else would we do? Now is the time to let the ceremony end according to the proper rites. Ooh. At the end of the hour, there comes a woman with a feather of shimmering silver, which she tucks into our hand, symbol of the innocent heart that will not be eaten by the jackal. Then a bell rings, and the time of speech is over. We all begin to put our masks back on. It is possible, we cannot know for sure, that in this cover someone has exchanged a mask with someone else. It is an orderly and perfect line that emerges again from the ear of Flourishing of Years. If anyone watches from above, they must surely be satisfied. We've gained a secret. We've gained a captivating treasure. Very nice. That is a valuable thing indeed. And we are now a respecter of the sacred mysteries. Very well. However, it is time to end our performance and leave the island. We can't stay in character forever, and so we go. When the other citizens are distracted, we find our way to the familiar customs house and rid ourselves of mask and robe. There is a satisfaction in laying aside a role well performed. We've lost 10 terror, and we're no longer masked. Very nice. There's nothing to buy here, but we have done our job well. Done our job well indeed. And it's time, finally, to leave port here. A strange adventure envisage, left behind as we journey onwards. Now we head to Port Cecil in the hopes of perhaps leaving our checkered visitor beside, and hopefully making it all the way back to fallen London on diminishing supplies. Who knows if we'll be able to make the full journey, as it is most certainly a dangerous one. But at this point, such it is. We've discovered the Noctic Lobe. Right to our right there. Well then, there are no islands within the Z-Bat's range. We'll simply travel onwards and hope for the best. However, that is a bound shark. I have no desire to tangle with it today, if at all possible. We venture onwards in the dark, hoping to sneak past it. And thankfully, we're successful. We'll have to pass around Scott's Reef in order to reach the port here, but that is doable. It's only a short journey, and we're nearly there. Hopefully, no other terrors await us in these reefs. Let us venture onwards and see what we can find. Our fuel supplies do run low, but perhaps we'll be able to acquire some here in Port Cecil or along the way back. For now, we simply stop here to rest. In Port Cecil, a sourceless silver glow, a haven for players of games. Here we can drop off the checkered character. He waits eagerly by the rail and lifts his head to inhale. "I can already smell the chess," he announces. Thank you, farewell. He says neither of these things. He drops a sweaty bundle of banknotes in our hand and hares off up the hill, fingers twitching to begin a game. Game players, eh? Well, we've gained 100 echoes for our troubles. That may be useful to us. We can explore the coral knoll around here. We can attempt to gather Scintillac, but I have a feeling that may not go so well for us, as it is a 40% chance of success. Indeed. Well, if we gather intelligence here, we can create another port report, as is always useful. Indeed. There's perhaps more for us here, though. We can use our recently acquired echoes to buy fuel at an exorbitant rate, but at this point that may be the only reasonable option available to us. First, however, we explore the coral knoll around Port Cecil and see what we find. Sea laps around the silvery coral. Humps and columns rise from it, a bewildering maze. We go carefully. It's the little things. The click of a sliding stone where there should be silence. A motion in the shadows as if they were thick-stirred like ink. A lull in the cries of the Z-Bats. Something is watching us, drawing closer, hour by hour. We and our crew draw back to back, watching the darkness. Well, we have two options with high risk, and one with pretty good odds. It has stealth, but we have rifles. All we need is a clear shot, and we'll earn ourselves a trophy. It's only 24% chance of success. We can attempt to capture it alive, only 17% chance of success. Or we can retreat back to the ship with 80% chance of success. As it stands, I question our ability to survive in either of these challenges. Our skills are reasonable, but evidently not high enough to have any chance of success here. As much as I'd love to investigate this shadowy predator, I'm not sure if it's worth the risk. But you know what? We have full wounds. It's time to experiment. We have some spare crew as well. It has stealth, but we have rifles. All we need is a clear shot and we'll earn ourselves a trophy. Let's take a high-risk challenge. An end to it! Deep silence, a faint scrape like boot leather on stone. The woman on our left levels her rifle and fires, and our crew joins her. The fusillade almost drowns out the hoarse screeching of the creature in the shadows. When we drag into the light, its oily flesh is already beginning to dissolve. Perhaps the light is hastening it. Whatever it was, it had many jointed leathery limbs, eyes like a bunch of grapes, a folding assembly of mandibles. It stinks of vinegar and mold. We fling a tarpaulin over it and bundle it into the deepest part of the hold. Perhaps someone will want it. We've succeeded in our mirror's challenge. We've acquired a strange catch. Well then. For now, we continue. A strange catch indeed. Usable in combat. Lures a submerged Z-beast to the surface. Well. For now, we venture onwards. Let us, actually, make dock here first briefly and buy a little bit more fuel for the road. Something tells me we'll need it. Expensive though it is, we now have the means to return home. Well then, can we make it back to fallen London? With the fuel and resources that we have? I suspect so. The path ahead of us is not impassable. We'll need to see how well the sea treats us, however. With supplies dwindling somewhat, and fuel always being burnt, we'll need to venture outwards as best we can. We pass back into the Sea of Lilies. A mysterious land here. There's a prison here, guarded by not oracles. We've discovered Peterson's Rift. A vast space. A vast gap in the sea floor. Perhaps we can find said prison. But perhaps not. We've discovered Nupmit Harbor. Well, what do you know? After all that, we found the prison after all. We found the prison island of wisdom. Let us make port. Nupmit built this place as a prison for the Khanate. The prison walls are mercilessly steep. Now it answers only to its governor, and its governor answers to no one. We could hand over a prisoner. Oh no, we'll pay you, the unctuous fellow says. We can always find a use for another pair of hands. We get lonely, you know. Lonely. We have no prisoners to drop off. We could exchange a secret for a prisoner, with a searing enigma, and 175 pages. Wow. Wisdom has many, many secrets. Far more than one might expect them to glean from the prisoners, but a discerning scholar might identify a secret which would tempt even the governor. A searing enigma indeed. However, we have no specific person to gain, and we have nowhere near the pages required. We could put a Blemigan ashore here. However, we can also compile a port report. We could attempt to rescue a prisoner, but again, we only get one chance at this, and it's unlikely to be profitable unless we have someone in particular we're looking for. So let us simply compile a port report here. Ships from the Khanate are most common, but we see Chelonate vessels, polythreme triremes with chained and sulky unfinished men, corsairs disposing of their miscreants, and even one furtive Iremi skiff. The wardens pay them well for their prisoners. Well then, perhaps that is all we'll find here today. As it stands, however, this is also the end of our adventures for today. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. This has been Vanguard of Valor, exploring the Sunless Sea. If you've enjoyed the episode, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Don't forget to check out the links in the description below for more information about what we do here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, goodbye.